Voice of FinTech.
Welcome to Voice of FinTech, a podcast mapping out the Swiss and global fintech scene, connecting fintech enthusiasts with startups, incubators, accelerators, business angels and VCs, and incumbents interested in partnerships. Voice of FinTech will help you navigate the fintech ecosystem. Here you can listen to the startup founder stories, what investors and incumbents are looking for when dealing with startups, and find out more about resources provided by incubators and accelerators. My name is Rudolf Falat and I'll be hosting this podcast. Hello and welcome to Voice of FinTech. Today we're joined by Fabian and we're going to talk about Wefox, a famous InsurTech originated from Switzerland but active in Germany, of course. And I'm joined by my co-host Wani. So we're going to double down on Fabian and find out what's cooking there and also how they're going to spend the enormous amount of money they just raised, right? So Fabian, how are you today?
Very good. Thanks for having me here. Looking forward to our conversation.
Great. So can you tell us a bit about yourself? How did you get to do what you do today? A lot of people would like to do it, right? So can you give some advice how to get there?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just to actually just do it, right? I think that's the most important thing, not talk about it, but do it. And I think that goes back to me having grown up in Berlin, originally from Berlin. So I've always been close to the startup ecosystem and have always been attracted by it. And I was working a couple of years in London as an investment banker, and I was thinking about what is the next step after 3-4 years in banking. Then you've seen, I think in my opinion at least, you've seen the majority of it. So I was thinking about what is the next step, right? Do I go into kind of private equity, but it's, pretty similar, but just on the other side? Do I go into venture capital? And when I was thinking about it, going into venture capital, then I was thinking, well, but how do I actually, help a company if I've never worked in one? And ultimately, that just led me to the fact that I need to do something myself. I need to start something myself. And I was lucky enough to know Julian Teike, one of my co-founders here, back from Berlin. He's also from Berlin, so we have a friendship dating back, I don't know, about 20 years or something by now. And he gave me a call one day and said, I have this amazing new plan, insurance. And so then after looking into it, I decided to actually jump ship, left everything I had in London. In the beginning, moved to Zurich, and that's basically how it all started.
So how do you and Julian complement each other?
I think we are different. We are different characters, and I think we're all bringing our strengths and also our, let's say, areas where the other person is just a little bit stronger. And as a result, I think we try to just support each other in terms of empowering each other in this. And I think that goes for Julian and myself, but it also goes to some of our other co-founders, Dario, who is also an important guy, and also many other people. And we try to live this not only amongst each other, right, but really across the entire organization.
So let's level set for people who maybe haven't used you yet, right? So what is Wefox and what's the problem that you're trying to solve? Or are you trying to delight customers at the same time by solving it? I don't know.
Absolutely. That needs to be the goal. So Wefox is a digital insurance company, and what we're doing is we're using technology in order to bring a new level of customer centricity, because by now, everything in today's world is near real time. If you, buy something online, if you order a cab, if you order food, and the expectation of customers is just a very different one. And insurance hasn't been customer-centric at all until recently. And we are just looking to really bring insurance from a paper-based product into a truly customer-centric product. And for this, we're using in our opinion, a very unique approach that we focus on advice and really tech enabling the human being, right? So many of the people have always been telling us that human insurance agents are basically dead. Our opinion is they're not dead, they're more alive than ever. And by the focus of really tech enabling the human being, automating as much as we can in the back office, building customer-centric products, we've been able to grow extremely fast. We are this year on track to grow to more than $350 million in revenues. while actually being on track to hit profitability already from next year onwards.
Can you take us back to your founding days? So you said that Julian came to you with this great idea. What was the first, month, 3 months like? How did you start?
In the very beginning, the way it started was that by chance, Julian was living in a shared flat, and one of the guys was a Bain consultant. And so he was sent off to a project somewhere far away. And so I was able to move into the same apartment. And basically there I was. Julian at the time, in the very beginning, was still working in his kind of previous company that they were just selling. So he always worked from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the other company, and then from 6 p.m. until kind of 12 at night together with me. And basically my workday was I woke up, I took a shower, and I went to the living room. And that was really the starting point. And I think from there, we really just tried to convince the best possible people to join us. I remember conversations with Googlers at the time, trying to convince them to move from Ireland to Zurich, right, where we had our very first office. We had interviews in this apartment. Sometimes always a little bit weird if you ask someone to come to your house in order to have like an interview. But yeah, it allowed us really to start off well, not spend too much money in the beginning, and then ultimately bring on the best possible people.
Oh, wow. So you were actually the home office champions to begin with. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We knew it.
And but I want to come back and drill down a little bit about what's the problem you're solving. How does that work in from a customer's journey perspective, for example, and who are your target customers?
Yeah, so I think our target customers is pretty much everyone who is above 18, right, and looking for insurance. Our oldest customers, I think, being older than 80, with our youngest customers being 18. And I think what we've been very much focusing on is bringing a convenience to the customer by allowing the customer to choose how they want to be advised when it comes to insurance. So it might be that there's customers that are looking for, a health insurance, a life insurance product. These are complex products. These are products that you rarely just are able to take out online. It's significantly too complex. And here we're providing you a service that by being able to speak to our advisors through video conference, through phone, whatever is convenient for our end consumers, allowing them really to get the advice that is required in order to get the right insurance solution, but having this in a non-paper based technical kind of way so that you can see your policies on the app, you can edit it, you can raise a claim directly in the app, you get real-time claim payouts so that you don't need to wait, and that we as an insurance company are here for you 24/7, 365.
And in terms of product verticals, you mentioned health and I guess obviously property, right? And life as well?
Yeah, so currently as our own carrier, we're selling car insurance, private liability, household pet insurance, and we're constantly extending the offering of our own products, but we're also selling products of third-party carriers, right? So we're always looking to get the best possible product to our customer base. And as a result, we're also offering third-party products, especially kind of life and health. And here we're currently selling the Allianzes, the Baslers, the Zurich insurances of the world.
So your competitive advantage really is that basically you provide advice, but instantly, right? And you cut through the paperwork, right? Because when I first asked for a quote, when I got to Switzerland, I got an offer like in a week's time, right? Then I sent it back. It took 2 weeks to get going, right? For instance, for liability insurance, so like everybody in Switzerland has.
Yeah. So on the one hand, we're providing a much better customer experience all across the entire journey of insurance. It's starting from getting a quote, from taking out a policy, from really raising a claim. We are providing a much better experience also for our advisor and broker base, so that also for them it's much easier to sell a Wefox insurance product, because we're having products that specifically fit the needs of the customer, but also the advisor. For example, less questions when it is normal in the insurance space for a car insurance to ask 30 questions. Our products, you just need to answer 5 questions, and we're using data from all kinds of different places in order to not needing to ask the customer, but really getting the data from other places in order to make it as convenient as possible, right? And this has allowed us really to bring on a great group of customers. This has allowed us to grow much faster than the competition. And this has also allowed us to grow at a much better kind of loss ratio compared to the overall market, right? And we're doing this at the same time with much lower admin costs, because we had the opportunity really to, when starting an insurance company, to really start from scratch and using technology at every single point across all processes. That's why today already around 80% of all of our processes are automated, while if you compare this to incumbents, then around 10 to 15% of all of the processes are automated. And for them, it's extremely difficult to move by just like a fraction of a percentage point due to the way that, this is just like a gigantic coloss for us, as we started from the very beginning to use technology across the entire spectrum of processes and across the entire company. We've been able to get towards this much higher automation ratio, and really this automation ratio, all the stuff that happens in the back end, in the back office of insurance is what makes it so complex. And this allows us really to provide a much better customer experience, a much better advisor experience, and obviously also then do this at significantly less cost and be on track to be profitable, right? This year for the first time across all of our countries, and then from next year as a whole organization. And that's what also makes our investor base happy.
All right.
Fabian, how do you guys make your money? How do you think about unit economics and scale?
Yeah, very important. We generate revenue through two ways. On the one hand, we generate commissions from selling third-party insurance products. On the other hand, we generate revenue by selling our own products and hence receiving the premium directly from the customers. And on our own products, really, by using data, we can curate the products, and hence we can offer products that are cheaper to the customers while still making a higher margin, right? And the way that we do this is by really understanding what is the risk of a certain customer. And as a result, if the customer is less risky, we can also offer a lower price, right, to the specific customers, while still making a good margin also on the specific customer. And this has allowed us really to have superior unit economics. This has allowed us really to get on this track that we, with our own book, have already shown profitability for the first time in 2020. So last year, it was very small. It was already profitable last year on our own book. And it really allows us to be on track to have country profitability also this year, and then be on track to, next to this really strong growth, right? Don't forget, we're growing this year from around 140 million in revenues to around $350 million in revenues, while being on track to have the entire group profitable from next year onwards.
Wow, so that's amazing. Obviously, you mentioned investors. So maybe let's talk about the fundraising as well. Yeah. But I think what the investors would like to see always is how you scale, right? And you are growing. You picked a big enough home market, Germany. But it also means that at some point you need to go international, as you already hinted, right? So where are you based currently, in which markets, and where do you want to get to, if you can say?
Yeah, so our official headquarters is still beautiful Zurich. Obviously, we have offices in several different locations by now, and we have a significant number of people also based out of Berlin and also Barcelona. And we currently operate across Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Poland, are just about also to launch into Italy. And our approach really is that we're here solving a global problem, right? So this, what we are currently doing, is not only applicable to the markets that we're currently in, but we're looking to further expand across Europe very rapidly now over the next coming months and years. But then also we will look into going global, looking towards the US and also Asia.
Wonderful. What would be a critical piece of advice you would give your younger self?
And noted you're still young, but but younger.
Yeah, younger. I think, I don't know, to myself or to everyone who's maybe starting a company, I think
Yeah.
The most important thing would be that everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's not the end, right? In my opinion, running a startup is a lot about kind of dedication. It's a lot about persistence. It's a lot about these kind of ups and downs that you're having on the way. And it's great to have these kind of big events like now, like a big fundraise, and have a great reception from this. But in order to get to this point, it took a lot of hard work and sweat in order to get there. And I think always when I see also people who have been working with us and now starting their own companies, I think that's great because really starting a company is the major personal growth journey that you can just undercome, independent of what the outcome will be. But it's going to be a growth journey for yourself. That's why I always recommend to do it. And yes, so I think the most important thing is just to know that no matter how hard the moments are, there's always a solution, and you just have to stay persistent, and then you will make it happen.
I love that quote. We will have to put it everywhere where you say everything will be all right, and if it won't be, it's not the end. So I love that. Think about it myself later on today,
yes,
but fair enough. Obviously, you're busy when you're building a business, right? And you don't have regular hours. But if you do have a moment, would you have a book or a movie or documentary that you could recommend to aspiring entrepreneurs that kind of spoke to you?
Yeah, I have limited time now, but I try to stay close a little bit. And I think one book that I read, which connects a little bit work, but also a bit of what I do outside, is a book called The Inner Game of Tennis. And The Inner Game of Tennis really talks a lot about, next to all of the techniques that you require in tennis in order to succeed, really the mental strength that is required in order to really excel. Because in tennis, there's a lot of amazing players out there. There's a lot of players that have a great technique, that play amazing. And ultimately, it's about these couple of balls that you either win or lose. These moments at the end of the game when it's really tight, that you play your best or your worst tennis. And I think that's very much driven ultimately by you in your own head, and developing a very good mental strength allows you to excel in sport, but also allows you really to excel in your work.
Yeah, great, because I see that the champions, even if they're playing badly, they're still winning, right? So unbelievable, but fair enough.
Fabian, out of curiosity, how many hours do you work a day? And when you are not working, how exactly what do you do to relax? And if you can share perhaps some trendy hobbies people are doing in the Berlin startup scene.
Yeah, you always need to work smart. So you need to try to work as efficient as possible. Ultimately, I think it shouldn't be about the number of hours that you work, but it should be about how ultimately smart you work. Obviously, in tough times, then you have to work much more, but you also have to find ways to get out and relax a little bit. For me, what is the most important way to relax is to actually play tennis. That's, I guess, goes back to the book that I also read, but
Nice.
But really playing tennis allows me to have, within like a very short period of time, you play for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You're in a different world. You concentrate on something completely different. You run, you sweat, and this way you maybe get a couple of new thoughts also into your mind that allows you to really just think about something different. And then when you either come back or when you come back the next day, then you come back with a lot more energy, which allows you then to really have some time off on the same side, but also then be better on the next day.
Right, exactly, because you need to concentrate on the ball, otherwise you can't hit it. And that's a good thing because you completely unplug from the other worries that you have. But talking about worries, you just raised a few million recently, right? What are the next milestones you want to hit, and how do you want to spend all this money?
Yeah, so in our opinion, we're still in the very beginning. We operate in a $5.2 trillion market. So there's still so much opportunity. And we still represent just a fraction of that total market. So we see ourselves still, after a couple of years being in the very, very beginning, we still see a lot of additional opportunity. We want to really double down on our models that we've been proven until today. We want to, at the same time, also further extend our reach into additional kind of first European markets, but then also go towards the US and Asia, and hopefully make as many customers as we can, as happy as we can.
Super. By the way, Fabian, I wanted to say that I've been loving the commercials of Wefox that I've been seeing. Where can interested parties reach you?
Yeah, interested parties can always reach out on any of our Wefox channels, of course, or through LinkedIn. We're always looking for great talent to come on board and to join us. And I think these commercials that you may be referring to, so for the people that haven't seen it, so in Switzerland, we're currently doing a couple of commercials, and we're trying to be humorous, right, and taking really a different approach towards insurance. So to really bring it across that you live your life and you do what you like and you do what you enjoy, and even if something bad happens, you don't need to worry about it because we're here for you, right? And for this, I think we've run these commercials, and also this describes a little bit for kind of the people also that we're looking for. So I think it's the combination out of obviously very competent, very kind of people that are extremely motivated, that want to really reinvent insurance together with us, but always enjoy it and like to have fun, because I think this combination really makes a great team, and I think that's also what it's more difficult over video conference and also to connect to people. And that's why I'm really hoping that the world will also now open back up a little bit again, and so that at least maybe not all days per week, but a few days per week, you can meet each other kind of at the coffee machine in the office. You exchange a little bit, you exchange some thoughts, on what happened the other day, and then this way also get into a really collaborative mood. And that's also what we've done in this kind of time now with our offices. We've actually rebuilt the offices in order to have much more focus on this, and in order to have more common spaces, in order to really focus on exchange. And I think with this raise, obviously we want to bring on additional great people. Please feel free to reach out to us.
Great stuff. Well, thank you very much for your time, Fabian, and good luck to Wefox.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to Voice of FinTech podcast. If you haven't already, check out also voiceoffintech.com, where you will find all the episodes and additional resources related to the podcast. You can also subscribe to Voice of FinTech on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or any other podcast app that you like. If you have any suggestions on the topics or guests, or how to make this podcast better for you, please email us at info@voiceoffintech.com. Happy to hear from you. Thank you.